Welcome to MCT's Ghostlight Theater. Our story tonight takes place in England on Christmas Day when? When? Ah, that's the question. Perhaps you'll know the answer after you've seen our story. It's not as easy as it sounds. Time. According to a scientific theory, there are at least 4 dimensions in our universe. The 3 dimensions of space, length, width, and height, plus a 4th dimension of time. However, to quote Rod Serling, there is a 5th dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. We call it the Twilight Zone. So, join us now in the story of 2 people meeting somewhere, sometime. The Christmas Meeting.
Christmas Day, 1851. It gives me an uncanny feeling, sitting alone here in my furnished room, with my head full of ghosts, and this room full of voices from the past. It's a drowning feeling, all the Christmases of the past coming back in a mad jumble. The childish Christmas. The house full of relations, a tree in the window, 6 pence in the pudding, and the delicious crinkly stocking in the dark morning. The adolescent Christmas with mother and father, the war, and the bitter cold, and letters from abroad. The first truly grown-up Christmas with a lover. Oh, the snow and enchantment. Red wine and kisses. The walk before midnight. The ground so white and the stars diamond bright under the dark sky. So many Christmases through the years. And now my first Christmas alone. Not quite loneliness, a feeling of companionship with all the other people alone at Christmas time, millions of them, past and present. A feeling that if I close my eyes, there would be no past or future, only the endless present, which is time, because that's all we ever have. Yes, however cynical you are, however irreligious, it is a queer feeling to be alone at Christmas time.
She was absurdly relieved when the young man walked in. There was nothing romantic about it. She was a woman of nearly 50, a spinster schoolma'am with grim, dark hair and myopic eyes that were once beautiful. And he was a kid of 20, rather unconventionally dressed, with a flowing wine-colored tie and black velvet jacket, and brown curls which could do with a taste of the barber's scissors. The effeminacy of his dress was belied by his features, narrow, piercing blue eyes, an arrogant jutting nose and chin. Not that he looked strong. The skin was fine drawn over the prominent features, and he was very pale.
I'm so sorry. I thought this was my room. Are you alone?
Yes.
It's queer being alone at Christmas, isn't it? May I stay and talk?
Well, I'd be glad if you did. If you'll come in, we could sit by the fire.
I hope you don't think I came in here on purpose. I really did think it was my room.
Well, I'm glad you made the mistake. But you're a very young person to be alone at Christmas time.
I wouldn't go back to the country with my family. It would hold up my work. I'm a writer.
Well, I see. Of course, you mustn't waste a precious moment of writing.
No, not a moment. That's what my family won't see. They don't appreciate urgency.
Families are never appreciative of the artist's manner.
No, they aren't.
What are you writing?
Poetry and a diary combined. My Poems and I. By Francis Randall. That's my name. My family says there's no point in my writing, that I'm too young. But I don't feel young. Sometimes I feel like an old man with too much to do before he dies.
Revolving faster and faster on the wheel of creativeness.
Yes, exactly. You understand. Oh, you must read my work sometime. Please read my work. Read my work?
We're both getting much too solemn for Christmas Day. I'll make us some coffee. And I have plum cake.
She set to work, clattering cups, pouring coffee. But she feared she must have offended him, for when she looked up, she found he had left her. She felt absurdly disappointed. She finished pouring coffee, however, then turned to the piles of books in the room. It was piled high with volumes for which the landlady had apologized profusely. "Don't mind the books, miss," she had said, "but her husband won't part with them and there's nowhere else to put them." She said they'd charge a bit less for the room for that reason.
So I told her, I don't mind. Books are good friends. But these aren't very friendly looking books. I'll choose one at random. Or does a strange fate guide my hand? I read the battered little book, published, I see, in the spring of 1852. It's mostly poetry, immature but vivid. Then there's a sort of diary, more realistic, less affected. And out of curiosity, to see if there's some amusing comparison, I turn to the entry of Christmas Day, 1851. I read, My first Christmas day
Alone. I had rather an odd experience. When I returned to my lodgings, after a walk, I found a middle-aged woman in my room. At first, I thought I'd walked into the wrong room, but this was not so. And after a pleasant talk, she vanished. I suppose she must have been a ghost. But I wasn't frightened. I liked her. But I do not feel well tonight. Not at all well. I've never felt ill at Christmas time before.
A publisher's note followed the last entry. Francis Randall died from a sudden heart attack on the night of Christmas Day, 1851. The woman mentioned in this final entry in his diary was the last person to see him alive. In spite of requests for her to come forward, she never did so. Her identity remains a mystery.